welcome back. It's still Business Morning here on Channels Television. We look at the hospitality industry now. Another big one for Nigeria, set to bring in some big money and non-oil money into the sector. There you have it. The projection is that by 2029, Nigeria's hospitality sector would have a market value of about $2.61 billion. And it's supposed to be driven by rising domestic tourism and increased investment. I hope we're on our way to that. It's also stated that the market's projected to be up to 2.61, topping the 18.78 million of that hospitality industry movement, especially post pandemic. It seems that a lot of things have coming out of that. So the revenue by 2025 is supposed to hit $1.67 billion. Growth rate is supposed to be about almost 12%. And that's supposed to take us up to $2.61 billion by 2029, about 5.4% contribution to the GDP between 2022 and 2032. And it's supposed to create more than almost 3 million jobs over the next 10 years. I wonder if we're on our way there. Let's speak to the Managing Director of W Hospitality, Mr. Trevor Ward, a name known in the industry. Mr. Ward, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for the invite to join you today.
Great. So you've been you're very well known in the hospitality sector in Nigeria, even though at the moment you're in Turkey and all. But when you look at the trajectory, the movement of or progress of or otherwise in the hospitality sector in Nigeria, would you say we're on the right path to hitting some of these projections, or we're not?
Well, if one looks back to the previous decade, and one gets very good data from Lagos and Abuja hotels through STR, that we were on a growth trajectory until 2014, 2015, 2016, when we were hit by Ebola and then an oil price crash and recession. But the point I'm making is that from that hit, where the industry had a huge dip, we rebounded very quickly into 2017, 2018, 2019, and even into early 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID-19, something that we had never experienced before. And our industry was shut down by government globally. It had not happened before in our memory. And again, the point I'm making is that our recovery from that was a growth trajectory and very fast trajectory. It's difficult for us to remember now what happened in 2020, 2021, when we experienced shutdown, work from home, wearing masks, etc., etc. Today, we seem to be completely free from that. And the hotel industry, the hospitality industry in Nigeria has been on a growth path ever since. And a globally competitive growth path as well, because we recovered from COVID-19 shutdown and devastation faster than any other city globally. So by the end of 2022, we were up there. Lagos and Abuja were leading the globe in terms of recovery from COVID-19. The industry, in terms of demand and pricing, is growing still today. Yes, there are peaks and troughs during the week, during the month, during the year, but at the same time, each year is showing growth year on year.
So, well, thank God we have recovered. But, the concerns on skills, personnel training, capacity of the operators, to accommodate international market. How are we on that front?
Well, it's not just an international market. The domestic market is there demanding good service as well. And it's a challenge globally. It's not just Nigeria. globally. Um, there's so many hotels under construction here in Africa. Africa as a whole, there's a pipeline of 577 new hotels and resorts in 42 countries. Each of them needs how many staff? A couple of hundred staff on average, 300 staff on average, general managers, deputy general managers, heads of department. It's a massive challenge finding the people who can hit the ground running. You can't open a hotel and say, well, bear with us while we train the staff. It's got to be from the get-go that you're offering that memorable service to your guests. So um, in Lagos alone, we have a pipeline of 26 new hotels coming on. It will be a challenge for those hotels to hire the right staff. And when I say right staff, they don't have to necessarily be fully trained. They can be trained. What one does is one hires the smile, hires the attitude. But I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It's going to be a massive challenge, as it is globally.
Hmm. So is that what explains the issue of maintenance? I mean, generally there's the perception that when it comes to maintenance, Nigeria as a country, as individuals, we're not very good at it. And so you see a beautiful facility being constructed and celebrated today. You come back in a couple of years and it's a shadow of what it used to be. And we kind of see this when you go into hotel rooms and you see things that are supposed to be basics falling off, and that kind of puts off a customer. So is it because of this personnel management?
Well, at times it's absolutely disgraceful. What you experience in a hotel or resort, but um, I wouldn't say it's a culture. I'd say it's a mentality that an owner invests an awful lot of money in building a hotel and thinks that there's no more investment needed. What that now is a cash waterfall. Thank you very much. And what is needed is constant maintenance, constant replacement. The mentality goes back: if it's broken, put it in the store, and we'll do without. And that doesn't help the guest experience, does it? A well managed hotel, shall I say also a well owned hotel, because it does come from the top, will be setting aside funds every month into an escrow account to be available for replacing chairs and tables and glasses and plates and anything that needs repairing, replacing. And that could be, that could be 5% of revenue each month that's put aside, so that the funds are available and management don't have to go cap in hand, to the owner and say, well, we need so much, Olga. Give us the money, and the owner said, we don't have it, or I'm not going to give it. So it's a question of mentality, it's a question of procedure, it's a question of good management and planning forward. But yes, certainly some of the badly maintained products in Nigeria and other countries. Nigeria is not unique, but it does seem, it's where we travel a lot. It's not right. It's not right what people are charging the customers for.
Yeah. Well, that's something we hope. This is not on government now, it's on the private sector. And I hope that there could be a change, of this mentality or culture. I don't know which way you call it. But, we have a projection of $1.67 billion for 2025 as revenue from the hospitality sector. And we hear it should be driven by domestic tourism. I hear Dirty December is contributing a whole lot to this. I don't know if you think we can hit this target by the end of this year.
I don't know what these big numbers mean. I don't know how to measure these big numbers because, we don't do data very well in Nigeria or many countries in Africa. So how that's measured, I'm not sure. I don't take an awful lot of notice. Apart from on the movies, I don't know what 1.6 billion looks like. But the fact is, you talked about domestic tourism. I mentioned COVID. I mentioned recovery from COVID. It was very interesting that from the third quarter of 2020, when we were opening back up again after a period of complete closure, when we were opening up again, there were no international visitors because there were no international flights. But the hotels were recovering very nicely, and it was 100% domestic demand. And I believe that created a habit of using hotels for leisure purposes. Business and conference demand had always been there, and that was slower to come back, but the leisure demand uh, became a habit of people. It was called revenge tourism, but I think that's in the past. It's now we use some of our disposable income to stay in hotels and resorts, city centre or beach or country or whatever it might be. So domestic demand is incredibly important, and we recovered in Nigeria because of that volume of domestic demand. 230 million people. If you just take 1% of our population in Nigeria, you're still talking about a very large demand market for leisure products. So domestic tourism is incredibly expensive. If you look at Kenya, when Kenya had domestic problems about 2017 following um, election issues, very, very quickly, the hotel industry uh, pivoted towards domestic demand and were very successful in attracting that and saving the industry.
So I guess we should be more intentional driving domestic tourism. We can start from there, before we talk about the international one. But thank you so much, Mr. Trevor Ward, for your time and your perspective on the program today, the Managing Director of W Hospitality. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.